it's great to see you finally face to face.
Yeah.
I mean, we spent hours on the phone together. Oh, yeah, and texting and emails and FaceTime, and it's great to see you.
Definitely.
So I told him already some of your background, that you started business and buying the companies for 50 million and selling them for 150 million and all that. You're great success in business. How did you get into mindfulness?
Well, first I want to say the fact that you guys are, who's the youngest here? Any 18 here or 19? Okay, who's the oldest here? How old? 23. 18 to 23. The fact that USC has a class where you can study what I consider to be the most powerful tool that's ever existed. I mean, if you gave me a choice between my right hand and my ability to read or to meditate, I would say, take my right hand, I'm going to meditate. Like, it is a complete game changer in my life. And the fact that you guys have a course about that and then tying into music is epic, one. Two, that you have someone that really has done it. Not only meditation, but lived and worked in the field that you're studying, right? Because you can read a book about the music industry all you want, but until you've actually lived it and worked in it, you really just know it intellectually. So, I'm kind of blown away that USC is that much of a forward thinker. How many people are here from the West Coast? East Coast? Midwest? And the West Coast in this space has been a leader, right? I grew up in Philadelphia, and to me it was all about how can I be the next Steve Jobs or the most successful business person you ever met, because I felt it would give me power and happiness, and then a girl would like me, and then we'd have a great family, and I'd have a lot of money. And to answer your question, I did all right in business. I was president of a company by the time I was 26, and I worked my butt off. I loved to work, but I was a bit of a spaz. And I think I did a project with somebody in Vegas, and he meditated. And he was, an ex-NFL, a really good college football player, in great shape, everything like I probably wanted to be. He was about 10 years older than me, and he was in better shape than me, ate healthier than me, did everything better than me. And meditation to me back then was something cool. Like, do you also know karate, or is that a special power? Like, can you float? Do you read my mind? Like, I had all these false images of what it was, but it was cool nonetheless. So I just started it by accident. Honestly, I started out of vanity. Like, I thought, is this going to make me cooler, or is this going to make me smarter so I can achieve my goals more? That's why I started it.
And what effect did it have on you?
Well, it ripped all that apart. Like, it got rid of all the illusions I had about what success was. It helped me unravel those. So, I don't know if it helped me get more girls or not, but it stopped being about that. I realize, and you guys will meet successful people, and you're in the music industry. Just look at music, right? Some of the most successful people, are they happy? And I just had a realization, like, all right, let's say I am really successful. Does that mean you're going to be happy? And I realized that the game is not about making a ton of money or getting the hottest chick or being cool. The game is, do I have peace of mind? Am I the happiest person? I mean, really, why do we go to USC? Why do you want to be in the music business? I mean, what's the purpose? And I realized, wait, the whole real purpose is to be happy. So I just kind of did a 360. Like, I used to study business and I love business. It's my passion. Probably like you with music. Like, I love it. But being the best at business wasn't going to bring me my ultimate goal, which is peace of mind. So I took all my energy and put it towards, all right, I want to discover happiness. Which meditation is literally like a super highway to peace and joy. And everything.
And when was this? When did you make this transformation?
1990. Well, you start. The fact that you guys are even in this class is impressive. It means there's something inside you that's a little wiser than most. Or you're seeking because you chose this class. Unless do they have to take it?
No, they don't have to take
it. Because that would ruin everything. But
not that I know of, anyway.
I always had that. When I was a kid, I'd break up with my girlfriend. It was so painful. And then I'd have this reevaluation, like, all right, like, how do I get her back? Well, okay, when I stopped doing that, I'm like, okay, what could I have done better? And I wanted to look inside myself. And I was just always seeking. And then, you know, I guess that happened. And then at 23, when I moved to Vegas, I was alone. And I come from a big family, and I'm a spaz, so I was always busy, always with somebody. Never silent, never calm. And that I somehow knew, like, this loneliness was gonna be a gift to me. I also knew if I went to the casinos in Vegas at 23, I'd be in a lot of trouble. You know, because I'm a strong personality, so I would be, you know. So I just embraced the loneliness. I'm like, this is a chance for me to get my act together so I don't end up like a lot of people do. I don't want to end up unhappy and miserable and divorced and angry at the people in my life. I want to end up like joyful.
So this was kind of in the middle of your career?
Right in the middle of it.
Right in the middle.
Yeah.
So you already were successful.
Yeah, in one sense, like if most people would say, were you successful? Yeah, I had a
Materialistic,
Lexus,
yeah.
I had a nice freaking pad in Vegas. You know, I was president of a casino company, a pretty big company, and my mentor is a genius. He's worth $7 billion, and he taught me so much about life and about business. But I just knew there was a big piece I didn't have. You know, and I just sought it.
So when you started this practice and you really got into it, how did you integrate what you were experiencing and learning and growing in meditative mindfulness with your business?
Well, first I had to learn how to meditate because, like, I couldn't do it. I used to call it attemptimate. Like, at your age, for you to be like, yeah, I'm practicing every day. Like, I didn't have that. I had to go out to the desert. I had to walk for an hour and just, like, try to, like, not be in my head. And the massiveness of nature would calm me down. And by the time I got to the end, I was able to sit quiet for, like, a minute or two. But it was more like falling asleep, right? And then I practiced it failing a lot. And I even did it wrong, and then I did it wrong, you know. And then over time, you know, I wanted it. You know, I think a part of it initially was I was so afraid of failing at life and being unhappy because I had already had success, and it's not that big of a deal. I know you guys want to, like, hit record or whatever. It's not that big of a deal. Anybody who's really successful will tell you that's not where happiness comes from. It's a nice little thing to have over here, but it's not where it comes from. So it took me a while until I could eventually, you know, I think I got closer and closer to my true self. You know, I was honestly a punk. So I did a lot of stupid things. I probably partied too much. I regret so many things that I did, and the more I got more sensitive to myself, to who I really was, I started to feel regret. You know, geez, I wish I didn't treat my girlfriend like that when we were in high school. I wish I didn't argue with my parents and hate them so much, you know. So, and that helped me, because it softened me. And that softness helped me cry. And for me, that was huge, especially guys who are like, realizing that as a guy, that crying is a gift. And that softened me. Then all of a sudden, I was calm enough inside that I could just be still with myself and be at peace. You know what I mean? But then my mind would be like, ah. Right. So I just.
It was a long.
It was a while.
Long road.
It was a while.
Long and yeah, a little rocky road.
Well, I mean, I heard it when you guys were talking. I guarantee you, I've given up a lot of my vices, like things that aren't good for me, things that don't benefit me. They're gone. But the one lie I call them lies in my head. The one lie in my head that I still get every day, it's like, oh, I'm too busy. Like, do it later. I got other stuff to do. I can't do it right now. Do it later. I mean, when you go to meditate, I guarantee you, every single time your mind will be like, I don't have time to do it right now. I'll do it later. Unless you're in a lot of pain, you're like, okay, I need to, right? So every day I start my day. I do not start a day, 25 years, without sitting quiet. And every day my mind's like, no, do it later. You can do this, then do that. So I have a policy. I take my shower, do my thing, but I will not start my day and do work until I at least sit quiet.
How long?
I mean, I don't want to give you this number because it might be too long for you, but for me it started with 10 seconds. Like, can you take 10 seconds to close your eyes? 25 seconds? 50? You know? And then eventually it's pure heaven. I mean, I'm sure, it's US, I think I can admit that I used to smoke weed, a lot of weed, in college. And
oh no, you can't tell that.
Okay. So, honestly, you get to a point where, I was just talking to somebody about this yesterday, where meditation is the greatest high on the planet. Not only when you're doing it, but you said it, one of you guys said about living mindfully. not only meditating to get into that peace of mind, that space of awareness, but then to carry it with you through your day and be aware as you live. It's the best high there is. And I've unfortunately tried a lot of the highs. But it is the only high that I've found that is sustainable and keeps getting higher. The other highs go, bam! Right? And they keep, they're a downward curve that take you low. This is a high that keeps getting better. I keep saying there's no way it can get better. And it keeps getting better. You know? So for those of you who struggle, you keep at it, you earn it, you work at it. It'll literally be the greatest thing you ever did. This class, that's why he and I talked for an hour. I'm so fired up. The USC has this. Right? Sorry, I get crazy. I get a little fired.
No, it's beautiful. So I think we know that it makes you happier, and which makes everything more enjoyable and clearer also. Do you want to get into any kind of specifics about mindfulness in business, or it's more of the general qualities that it enhances and cultivates that are good for everything?
So when I was in business, I loved it. So I immersed myself. I read magazines, books. I worked hard. This is after I stopped the partying, right? I worked hard. And I felt if I gave up my mind, I'd give up my power. Because I always felt like my mind was a supercomputer. I could see a whole business. This department, marketing did it. I can do this strategy, blah, 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 blah. I could see it all in my mind. I think about it all the time. And I thought if I gave that up through meditation, then I'd lose my intelligence. But I was at a point in my life where I'm like, I don't care. I'm gonna let it go. Because I want peace, and that's what I want. And but what I found was, not only when I let go of my mind, not only did I not lose it, I gained a higher sense of intelligence that was quadruple that. I call it the little brain and the big brain. Like I tapped into your little, like, do you want to tap into this little brain, or do you want to tap into the wisdom of the ages, right? This huge brain. And at first it wasn't, like I had to learn how to live. It's like learning how to walk again. How do I live with this awareness? My boys come over like, yeah, let's go, da, 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 da. And I'm used to being like, oh yeah, and what? I had to learn how to be like, no, I'm not into that. Like, no. You know, and I had to learn how to converse differently, to go deeper. You know, there was always one or two people in your life that you really connect with on a more meaningful level. Where I realized I want that with everyone. Like, I want to have he and I talk for so long because we're like, let's talk about something, right? Let's not just talk nonsense, right? And I had to learn how to do that without freaking people out, you know. And then how do I integrate that with business? I'm in a business meeting. I want to be like, hey guys, let's just meditate right now. I did that. That was 25 years ago. Now it'd be kind of cool, like, oh, that cool guy on Facebook, you know. But back then it was like, there's the weirdo right there. Okay, so. But it gives you an intuitive sense, and you guys are artists, right? A lot of you, or at least you come from artist backgrounds. We're all artists, but it puts you in touch with your intuition, and your intuition sees things more clearly. It knows what's right. It knows what to avoid. It's creative. It connects dots. It's strategic. It sees insights and visions real fast. So I would say it made me about 10 times more effective as a business person.
Wow. And then you tell us about the foundation. What you...
Well, then I was like, wait a minute. I went to a really good prep school. I went to an amazing college, not as good as USC, but why didn't they teach me this? I feel like I got robbed. They didn't teach me to let go of my anger. They didn't teach me how to be honest and the value I get out of being an honest human being. They didn't teach me how to calm my mind. They didn't teach me how to overcome anxiety, how to build meaningful relationships with people. Like, what's more important? How to have a healthy relationship with my parents, which I didn't have at all, right? How to heal that? Now, what's more important, pre-calc or that? So I was kind of like, no, I have to let go of my anger because I learned that that's a very valuable tool. But at first I was outraged. My parents paid a lot of money, put a lot of time into education. They didn't teach me any of this. So when I started this youth foundation, by accident, it was really, I had started it. By the time it was formed, I realized I had started it. I was doing what he does. He's not doing this for the money. He's doing it because he loves to invest in human life. Because to light up a human life, I mean, I saw the way you looked at him when he was like, I'm practicing, because you're like, he's getting it. Like the magic in his eyes, like that's a high. So I just accidentally did that with a few young people that were struggling, remind me of myself. And we started this youth foundation, and it was really around tennis and academics. But I don't have Team Brian, but really it was about how do you be a professional at life. I mean, I could care less about tennis, but you know, our kids end up being top 5. We've had kids play for USC, Stanford, Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Georgetown.
Well, tell us more about how it works. How old are they? Is that a school you have?
Get them as young as possible, because then you have to, you know, give them the tools at a young age so they don't create a lot of unnecessary trauma or difficulty for ourselves, right? Everybody experiences anxiety and depression. That's a reality. That's life. That's the human experience. But teach them about what that is, the psychology of it, so it doesn't become an extreme case, right? Right. So we get kids as young as 3, 4, 5 years old. Obviously, they don't want to meditate at that age, but they're mostly, the leadership program is a lot like this. I mean, did you feel that way when we walked in here? Mm-hmm. It's like you guys just chilling. We have a classroom like this. High school students come in. We talk about what's going on, with the hope of getting them to find peace of mind. Because once they have peace of mind, once you guys have your inner knowing, your true self, there's nothing you can't do. Like, studying becomes fun, working out becomes fun, eating becomes fun, everything becomes a joy. Because that voice in your head that's like, I don't feel like it, this sucks, it's annoying. That you stop believing in that voice. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So we try to get them to that point where they are self-inspired, self-motivated. And then let their inner guide take them where they're meant to go.
It's so important what you're saying about the inner voice, because too often, too many people, they hear that inner voice and they're in the story instead of listening to the story. Mm-hmm. Listen to that voice, know what the voice is doing, and you can change the voice. You can have it go from that, you can transform it into something positive, because most of the time it's very negative. Most of the time it's criticizing you and telling you what you did wrong and what you deserve and not getting and all that stuff, and you can understand it and be able to control it once you are able to listen to it and get that critical distance. Mm-hmm. That is so important.
And it can fairy tale you. How many times you're like, oh my gosh, he's the one, she's the one, like we're gonna get married, and it builds this whole world up here, right? And it's just trying to draw you into your fantasy, into your head. And then once it's in there, it's like, you're not good enough, they don't even like you. It starts hitting you like bam, bam. And when you learn how to meditate, you realize you no longer affected by I call it the lies in your head. You now have a power to notice them. I couldn't get to sleep at night. Who said they sleep well? Someone over here.
Oh, sleep well?
That's a gift. I couldn't get to bed because my mind was like, I got this to do, I'm going to do this. And sometimes it'd be inspirational, like I'm going to start this business and do this. Sometimes it'd be like, I'm worried about this. I couldn't get to bed. So meditation gave me the tool to be able to say, oh, those thoughts you want to come right now, I see you, but I'm not going to spend a lot of time with you right now. I don't mind you. I'm not upset with you, but I'm going to focus on going to bed right now. Does that make sense? So finding my intuition, which is interesting because we talk about Jules, she has a song called Intuition. Finding my intuition really was a game changer, because it's the voiceless voice. It doesn't come in a voice, it just knows, if that makes sense.
That's beautiful. So you mentioned Jewel. So how did you start working with Jewel?
So we have a promise in our youth foundation. If you calm your mind, you'll start to see more clearly. When you see more clearly, you'll be able to discern between what you know, your true self knows is your best decision, and what isn't in your best interest. And the more you follow what's right, the more you feel right. Simple. And then magic happens. Literally freaking magic. So, now not right away. At first, when I started to become aware, all I saw was like all the dysfunction that was inside me. And there was a ton of it. But I fell in love with the process of nurturing that. Enjoying that adventure to learn about myself. Why do I do that? Why am I addicted to that? Not being mad at myself about it. Does that make sense? Being patient with myself. And I listened to this song called Intuition. Well, Jewel was like my Ed Sheeran for your generation, or Drake, right? So I'm trying to learn how to calm my mind and listen to my intuition. I don't even know what intuition is, but I think I know. And I think it's a cool idea. This is 1995, maybe? I don't know. Getting old. But you guys were just born, I think.
Yeah, it's probably.
Who's 95 anyway?
No, they're way after 95, I think, Angie's.
Okay, yeah, you
Yeah.
guys were just hanging with your parents,
Yeah.
chilling. So, and I hear this song on the radio, and it's Jewel. I think it's like a top 2, maybe a number 1 hit on the record, on the radio, called Intuition. And the lyric says, follow you. I can't sing for my life. Where is it? You can sing, but you don't know the lyrics. Follow your heart, your intuition. It will lead you in the right direction. Now that may sound like a big deal, but back then, you didn't hear a lot of wisdom in music, in pop music. It was like, kind of like now, like, who am I going to hook up with? You hook up with me, I'll hook up with you. We're going to get lit. Like, it wasn't follow your heart, your intuition, it'll lead you in the right direction. And I had been having these debates with my mentor, who's a genius in business, but he didn't really want to hear anything about intuition or meditation or any of this, right? And I was like, see, I'm not crazy. See, someone wrote a song about it, it's like top 5 on the charts. Fast forward 20 years later, my brother calls me, and he's like, you gotta meet Jewel. She is your twin sister. She meditates, she does yoga, she loves to eat healthy, she nerds out on psychology, she loves this stuff. And I was like, well, first he's like, you gotta work with Jewel, I said, I don't really, he's always trying to pull me into a deal. I said, I'm doing great. But I read her autobiography and I was so blown away by her story.
Never Broken, was that?
Guys, you want an autobiography that will blow your face apart? Read Never Broken. Top 3 that I've ever read. Top 3 that I've ever read.
It was a bestseller, too.
Bestseller, New York Times bestseller, but it's everything. And I was like, wow. I don't necessarily want to work with her because I was so at peace with what I was doing, but I want to meet this person because they've experienced so many of the same insights that I've experienced in my journey and in such a dynamic way. And then I remember, wait, this is the girl that I listened to her song that gave me faith in following my path. 20 years later, that's magic to me,
So you met her?
Met her, hit it off. We literally talked for like 2 hours the first time I met her about all of this. She ended up talking to one of the children in our youth foundation and mentoring her for another hour.
You and I also talked for 2 hours.
Yeah, same thing.
Yeah.
Same thing. I mean, it's like when you found gold, you want everyone to have it, right? So when you find someone else that's found it, you're like, oh, you see it too? Hey, you ever see a shooting star with someone else? It's cool. It adds to it. Seeing it by yourself is cool, but with someone else, like, oh, we both saw it. And so we talked for a while, and then she asked me to kind of be on her board, and I think it's not because I know anything about the music business. I don't know anything. Like, I'm probably the biggest idiot that's ever come into your music class. All of you know more about it than I do, at least at that point. I think it's simply because she was like, oh, I can trust this human being. I can trust that they are close to themselves, that their inner knowing, their conscience, whatever you want to call it, matters to them. And in life, that's what matters. Like, can you trust yourself? Can you trust others? Do they listen to you? Do they understand you? Right? And I think we both felt that was the case. And so I got on her board and then eventually president of her board because intuitively, without even trying, we would talk about ideas and we would, whiteboard ideas for her business and for her future. She didn't want it just to be about music. She wanted something more meaningful. Right? If you listen to her lyrics, they were always very meaningful. But she wanted it primarily to be about the pursuit of her own growth and helping others pursue their growth. And then from that, like, things would fall in front of us. Like, oh, this opportunity and this opportunity. Next thing you know, we started, a wellness business, bringing meditation and things like that to the masses. And, a lot of neat little magical things.
And you have the music and wellness festivals, right?
So we started again, kind of flashing back to being a student like you, like, why didn't they teach me this? Right? Why isn't this out there? We started a music and wellness festival. So not only, I mean, wellness has got to be cool. It can't be like, oh, we're gonna go over here and eat healthy and not have fun. Like that's not reality. I've done everything, right? And I can tell you the coolest and most fun. I was at Coachella with my posse, and I danced till 3 in the morning, hard. I out-danced. People were like, he's on something. Literally, I was a little freak of nature, but I was high on loving life. High as hell, high as heaven. But, you know, and I think that our goal was like, let's make music festivals, let's make businesses, let's make things fun. Like Tony Hsieh did with Zappos, right? Business doesn't have to suck. It doesn't have to be a corporate room with the lights of death and a 1 week vacation. And what time do you have to show up? What time do you have to leave? It can be dynamic. It can be alive. Like music. Right? Business can be alive like a song.
So I'm going to open the floor to questions, if that's okay with you.
Sure.
Are you cool with that?
Yeah, ask anything you want.
Okay, we got questions.
Go as deep as you want to.
So Ellie?
Yeah. So you're saying that music or business can be live, it can be fun, but then like you were saying, your mentor, like he wasn't very interested in like the whole intuition, the meditation of it. How do you influence and like encourage people, especially in business, that we can have fun, we can meditate, it'll make business more effective when there's like so stuck in an idea that, you know, I just get work done. I'm done. Like, you know.
I think the universe tests us to see if we're strong. You ever see the movie Divergent? Love that. When they're tapping on the glass, you're like, wait, this isn't real. That's what meditation is like. So being divergent. Like, I just knew what was right and I'm gonna do it. Now I love 25 years later that Facebook has yoga and smoothies and let people work at home and bring your kid to work and dogs. You know, we were doing that 25 years ago, and our HR department would be like, you can't do that. We're gonna get sued. And I think you just stay true to yourself. Don't follow the crowd. That's the biggest thing. Do not follow the crowd. Be divergent. And the universe will test you. Even the people closest to you, unconsciously or subconsciously, will test you. And maybe that's just the way it's supposed to be, just to see if, you know, it's almost like a game. Like, yeah, I stood for what I knew was right. Even when someone, my best friend, I mean, sometimes my own parents would try to talk me out of what I knew was right. And I think it wasn't malicious on their part. It's a good test for me. So I would say you just stay true to yourself, and in the end, it always works out. Always. Right?
When you said you discovered meditation and realized that you wanted to find inner happiness, you said, I think you mentioned that you had like, you know, dropped the business side of things. Is that what you said? Or did
Yeah,
say
I
differently, or
don't think you have to.
Business?
I continue. Okay, so just even I don't think you have to drop anything. I was a hot mess, right? So, you know, big difference, right? And but I actually ran the business very intuitively and mindfully for like 5 or 6 years. And my debate with my mentor was, I believe if you do the right thing and you treat people with patience, honesty, and respect, not only will you feel good about what you're doing, but you'll have a bigger financial return long term. And I believed in so much, we had a casino business, I put patience, honesty, respect on the wall of the casino. And back then that was pretty radical. Now it's probably normal, I don't know. But, so I did stay in the business, but I did have to relearn how to do it. Sometimes I was probably a little awkward in business meetings. You know, if you were to interview him, he'd be like, yeah, some days he came in and he was like, oh, like, they used to call me like Prophet Isaiah. He'd be like, oh, the prophet is here. Because I was like, sometimes I was really deep. Like, I need to meditate. I didn't know how to like be myself, you know. Just learning curves, you know. Probably like being a teenager. You go to high school for the first time.
Jack? Wait,
Oh, sorry.
Jack?
Hi. So you mentioned changing the way that you communicated with people,
Yeah.
and additionally that you needed to figure out a way to communicate with people little more deeply. You expressed a wish to communicate with others universally more deeply without freaking them out. I was wondering if you could expand on that a little bit more.
Well, I mean, a lot of times, the only times we really connect deeply with someone is like a childhood best friend where you tell them everything. Or like someone you're dating. And that's why I think sex is powerful, because people feel really deeply connected. So what I realize is that you can connect in an even deeper way than that. And why not with everyone, right? But I had to learn how to do that. I had to realize that a lot of my conversations were pretty shallow. And I was just accustomed to that. Because I learned how to converse with people when I was like 12 or 13. And you just do what other people do. Like you just talk nonsense or make fun of people or talk shit or, say to them something inappropriate, right? But so I had to relearn, like, is that who I want to be? Or do I want more than that? So I just practiced, and I was very awkward with that. Because I'd go home, my parents like, hey mom, like, what were you like when you were 12? And I would force it. We have a girl in our youth foundation, and she'd like be like, okay guys, let's all talk about something meaningful. And they'd look at her like, don't come at me with that. It was contrived. But I was like, I don't care. I'll be contrived. I'm going to find a way to go to, and I used a jackhammer to get deeper, but I eventually learned how to be more fluid. I call it like the on-ramp of a highway. I used to just like, whoop, boom, and get on the highway, and cars are like, Wah! Now I just slowly go up the on-ramp to a meaningful conversation. Does that make sense?
Totally.
Like, oh, how's your day? Oh, what's going on? You struggle with it? Softly.
Right.
And your generation, by the way, is so far ahead in that regard. Instagram and all those things, they have a lot of challenges, but there's a lot of benefits in that there's more wisdom out there. You watch one TED Talk, you're like, oh, I like that. I'm getting some meat on the bone, right? For me to get a TED Talk at your age, I'd have to I don't know, I couldn't.
Also, one more question.
Yeah.
So, when you were describing how you were as a 21, 23-year-old, I was very deeply reminded of one of my friends who I've been talking a lot to about meditation, and he's kind of been rejecting the idea. I'm sure he's worried similarly about like a supercomputer brain, and that stepping back out of his world would somehow mitigate that or dial that back for him. And I was wondering if you had any more broadly a way that we could use to communicate to people who are maybe struggling in that way, to show them how meditation should be more beneficial.
Well, I love the Gandhi quote. Be the change you want to see in the world. If you just master your own garden and you just pull the weeds in your own garden, and all of a sudden you got this, and then you get rid of all the negative thoughts and feelings, and you're getting these weeds out, all of a sudden it's just dirt, right? And then you start planting good seeds, and all of a sudden you got these big sunflowers, and you have some watermelons pop up and some cantaloupe. Your neighbor's gonna be like, dude, where'd you get that cantaloupe? You know what I mean? And they're gonna come to you. And I think it's important. I had to learn this pretty quick. I'm not here to change my family or everyone else. I have a whole garden that's got a lot of bugs and all types of shit in it that I need to fix. And all these people are going to show up like it's a farmer's market eventually.
Right.
You know what I
That's a
mean?
good way of putting it. That's a very good way of putting it. Zoe?
I have a question. So from personal experience, a lot of what drives me to be successful as a person is that negative voice in the back of my head that tells me that you're not doing enough, or you need to do this, or you need to do that. And that has actually served me pretty well in the sense that I've been able to do things with that kind of pressure, but it's turned into this thing that I don't really want in my life anymore. And so one hurdle for me in doing the meditation is understanding how meditation is going to replace that mechanism in my drive to be successful, because it feels like a lot of it is based on relaxing or letting some of that go, and in a lot of ways the supercomputer brain kind of thing. I worry that if I pursue this aggressively meditation, that maybe I won't be as interested in the things that I thought would make me successful, which is maybe not bad, but it freaks me out. Does that make sense?
Well, it's quite the opposite. Maybe at first you're a little more chill, I don't need to do that, it's not that big of a deal. But the more you practice, you find love. The reason why love is painted places and talked about and sought is because it is powerful. And then there's false love and there's real love. When you find the real love that's inside you, not from homeboy over here, this pretty child chick over here, but inside you, and you know that through your own choices, you can grow that. It explodes. And then that becomes inspiration, and your writing, and your creativity, and everything's gonna start to flow, right? Now, so it's the opposite, but it's a great question. And I'll tell you, I started my path out of fear, a healthy fear, because I knew if I continued the path I was going on, I would be a billionaire just like my mentor, who's a great guy, by the way, genius, but I probably wouldn't be happy.
Yeah.
And that fear was a good fear, because it was just my inner knowing saying, ding, 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 like, don't go, you gotta come back out here a little bit. Does that make sense? So there's a big difference between that fear of knowing that I need to do the right things more and stop doing these things, than the fear that's like just negative talk in your mind, like you're not good enough, you're ugly. I mean, just by the way, tell me if I'm wrong, but I've worked with so many people, especially children, mostly girls. I'm fat, I'm stupid, I'm ugly, people don't like me. Like every girl has 90% of those thoughts, right? So using meditation to let that nonsense go, it's absurd. You can find the most beautiful person in the world. And first of all, beauty is an inward thing. We want to get into that subject, so I'll get fired up.
Andrew?
Yeah, so one of my big goals, I want to be a writer, producer, and one of my goals is to write a hit song. And I come from a similar East Coast business background. I think I know that life, and part of it is for that validation, I think. That like I would love to go back and say, look, I did it, and here, check it out. But then, and like I totally understand that. And then on the other side, there's like I have this feeling that music has done so much for me, and if I can write a song that people love and will do something for them, and obviously like the metric is millions of plays, and that's like a good way to tell. Do you think there's a balance between that where it's also healthy if you want to have that like kind of vein, like check out the hits and everything, but also have, if that kind of in your heart of hearts, that's you're doing it for the right reasons, that's cool too. Do you think you can find that balance? Or
I needed the success because I was really insecure and I wanted to be like, told ya.
yeah.
But I realized that like my told you wasn't real.
Yeah.
It was a short-term game. It was almost like fluff success. And I realized, no, the real told you is a loving one that's like, I found contentment. I found my best self. Living my best life. So I found that, right? So in the end, that's all that matters. That's the only currency that matters. And now that doesn't mean there's anything wrong with making a little dough ray on the side. Because when you're doing what you know is right and you're in your best self, the money takes care of itself. And so I can tell you I started doing yoga to pick up girls. So I look better. I started eating healthy so I look better, get girls. So I had superficial purposes. But when you go toward wisdom, it cures that for you. If that makes sense.
Yeah.
But you're in this class, so that's a big deal. Anyone else?
Anyone else? Yes, Gary?
I guess maybe on a similar note. Oh, hi, by the way. Thanks for coming in.
What's up?
Is when you said success does not equal happiness, and that when you actually reach it, you don't, it's not that big of a deal. You don't, it's I guess short term. Do you think that is something that you can realize without actually going through the process itself?
Yes. And I the young man who runs my foundation, he's 30 years old, he's our executive director. He had a job on Wall Street making 8 times what he makes with us. Yeah. And he learned it without learning. You learn the hard way, definitely. We all do. But you can minimize the hard way. And he did. He didn't have to go take the Wall Street job and realize that's not what his calling is. And he was wise enough to do it the easy way. I always say it's just a lot easier that way. I learned the hard way in a lot of things, and eventually I said, I don't want to do that anymore. I'm going to learn the easy way. So yes, you can. And I want to comment on the hit song thing. High performance, I'm a huge psychology fanatic, and what creates a high performance anything, athlete, student, business, musician, don't focus on results. Don't focus on results. Focus on loving the grind, loving the creation. The creation. It's a hit. Jewel has music that is so beautiful. I'm not gonna wait for someone to say it's a hit. I already know it's a hit, right? So, I mean, our foundation's now getting a lot of recognition. I knew it was a hit 10 years ago. If other people don't know, that's their problem. Right from your soul. And the deeper you tap into this, whether you're a writer or a musician, that's where it comes from. It's a hit the second you write it. Does that make sense?
Katie.
So, you guys touched on confidence, but one of the things I would say is that more than anything, you strike me as someone who's very comfortable in who you are. And I was wondering if you agree with that and what you think about confidence versus comfort in who you are.
I think confidence is being one with yourself. Homeostasis. Through sitting quiet, you start to notice, like, the real me is this calm thing in here. Now, first it was this big, and the rest was all this craziness. Like, I couldn't even sit there, right? And the more I practiced, the more I was able to notice, oh, those are just false thoughts. Let them go, and all of a sudden I get calmer and calmer and calmer. Then the calmness gets bigger. Then I see things more clearly. And the more I see clearly, the more I see myself, and I know the right action. And the more you right action, you're where you're supposed to be all the time. You're not out of sync with yourself. And with that comes confidence, right? I love my life. I can honestly say that deeply. It brings me to tears a lot of times, out of joy. It was not the case. For 5 or 6 years, I was suffering because I had so much anger and insecurity. And I didn't know it, but I was depressed. I had no idea. I was running from it for years, right? So I was willing. I remember when I was going through that stage, I was always like, I know eventually I'll get over this and it'll be just like sunny skies. But I had to come to the realization, like, I don't even care if I do. Like, I love the heart of all this. It's got heart and soul looking at all this stuff. Does that make sense? And I learned to love it. And love became a transformative thing that changed whatever the circumstance was. If I had anxiety and I loved it, it calmed into love. If I was insecure and I loved it, it just calmed into love. And yet now I would say I'm very pleased with my life. I think that's what we're here to do, to love life. But it's not like just, oh, I love life, all right, I have it. It's a process to get there. But we got time.
We got time.
We got time.
We're out of time.
We're out of time.
Beautiful questions. Well, it's
Great
fantastic questions. And fantastic answers.
Yeah.
I mean, some great stuff there. It's so great that they got to hear somebody besides me, but they get to hear somebody who's so enthusiastic about these practices, and is a success in the conventional sense of the word, and is a success in terms of helping people and doing such good stuff, such good work. And it's so great that they could hear somebody out, a voice like yours.
Well, it's an honor to be with you guys. I mean, it says a lot that you even took this class. I'm very impressed by that. And I'll give my email to him if you have any questions. If they're personal questions that you struggle with something, I take that phone call, 4 in the morning, I don't care. Because somebody took my phone call and helped me. And that's what life's about. If it's a business question, send it to my email. Okay? Because that's work, and I do work in work time. But anything I can do to help any of you guys, you just let me know. And Afra back there will have my card. Oh, there she is.
Can I write it on the board?